I never dreamed that a few taps on a phone screen late at night could ignite so many hidden perils. Yet, here we are, discovering the unsettling truth. Social media might be shaping our youngest minds more intensely than any of us ever suspected. And just when some people brush it off by saying, it's all just harmless fun for kids, new research emerges, painting a starkly different picture. Today, we dive deep into the world of children around 9 to 10 years old, who have been drawn into the social media realm far earlier than many guidelines recommend. We will unravel why these findings matter, and what secrets they reveal about isolation, cyberbullying, and a surge of emotional challenges lurking behind every brightly lit screen. The primary focus of this journey is to examine how platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat have become central to the daily routines of these children, many of whom are not even teenagers yet. What does that mean for their mental health? Could endless scrolling and digital chatter be silently fostering depressive symptoms? Or maybe these issues were around before social media arrived in their lives? In this episode, we are going to uncover the crucial questions that simmer beyond the surface. We will ask, how on earth did children as young as 9 years old become so adept at bypassing those age restrictions? Why do anxious or vulnerable kids appear so drawn to social apps in the first place? And are they making underlying struggles worse? And is there any real way parents can step in before real damage is done? We are about to peel back the layers of a story that is not just relevant for parents, but for everyone. Think about how society is changing, how technology is designed to captivate us, and how childhood itself is being transformed in the process. In this program, we will explore the rise of social media usage among preteens, the evidence linking it to a noticeable leap in depressive symptoms, and the disturbing realities of online harassment that can follow. We will talk about the difficulty of verifying a child's age and why efforts to ban underage registrations do not always succeed. We will also consider the ripple effects on everyday habits that might seem harmless, like staying up a bit too late to text someone, until we learn about the connections to mental well-being. Now, let's dive straight into the heart of it. According to a new study from the University of California at San Francisco, researchers tracked thousands of children over several years, starting from age 9. They watched with growing alarm as daily social media usage climbed sharply. By the time these 9-year-olds reached early adolescence, their daily screen time on social networks soared from just a handful of minutes to well over an hour on average. Notice the magnitude of that jump, which researchers describe as a 10-fold increase. Interestingly, this climb in social media activity aligned with a chilling rise in depressive symptoms, about 35% higher than the baseline from when the same kids were just beginning the study. The big question, of course, is whether children who are already prone to depression end up diving deeper into social media, or whether these platforms are fueling new or intensified depressive emotions. The findings from this study tilt in the direction that the social usage itself often comes first, followed by worsening states of mind in kids who may have been relatively stable just a short time ago. The evidence suggests that new or expanded usage of apps like TikTok and Instagram might actually be sowing seeds of subsequent emotional distress. That alone is enough to make many parents reach for the off switch on their children's devices. But there is more to this story. These children are part of a generation that never knew life without constant connectivity. For them, logging on is as familiar as picking up a snack. It is second nature. By the age of 11 or 12, the majority of them have at least one active social media account, and many maintain profiles on multiple platforms. With that many ways to communicate, everything from petty gossip to genuine intimidation can, and does, happen well out of the sight of adults. We can all recall old-fashioned bullying scenarios. Children intimidate others in the schoolyard, maybe verbally, maybe physically. Those scenes, while distressing, are relatively straightforward. Recent studies reveal, however, that cyberbullying takes on a more amorphous, haunting form. When messages of ridicule or threats come through a phone that remains on a child's nightstand at midnight, there is no sanctuary, no moment during which a child can definitively close a door on the harassment. Worse still, the aggressors in the digital sphere can remain anonymous, or even disguise themselves as adults, generating an entirely new sense of terror in young minds. This never-ending onslaught and untraceable identity factor elevates anxiety to an entirely new plane. But let's not stop there. In another segment of the same research, analyzing data from the same group of children, scientists discovered a strong correlation between experiences of cyberbullying and suicidal thoughts, or attempts within a year of being harassed. They also noticed that children who are bullied online are more likely to turn to substances like tobacco or marijuana. These revelations underscore how massive an impact the near-invisible domain of virtual hostility can have on a child's sense of hope, self-worth, and emotional stability. When we talk about how social media might bring out or worsen these depressions, some will insist it must be only the result of direct bullying. But the picture is broader. The displacement effect is another potent piece of this puzzle. In simpler words, when children spend too many hours scrolling, posting, or monitoring their peer group online, they are burning hours they used to spend on other crucial developmental tasks. Sleep, for one, or face-to-face interactions and physical activity. Pediatric associations strongly advise families to keep devices out of children's bedrooms, especially at night, and to set a buffer window before bedtime during which screens are off limits. Without that, bright screens, notifications, and the compulsion to respond to a friend's late-night text conspire to rob children of restful slumber, seeding more emotional and cognitive struggles the following day. We are also learning from experts in child behavior that while genetics and family life often play substantial roles in the development of depression, the environment has a powerful hand in shaping a child's well-being too. The digital ecosystem has become part of that environment. Parents and policymakers do have some say in how these platforms operate and how children might use or misuse them. Even so, we have all witnessed how easily a child can slip onto an app, ticking a box that says 13 years old, when in reality, they are just 9. Now, imagine a scenario. A child stumbles upon a complex online spat. Possibly it began as a harmless photo posted at 9 in the evening, with a single comment from a friend teasing someone. Before long, other kids are chiming in with increasingly nasty remarks. The poster's feelings are trampled, and rumors spread faster online than they ever could in person. The child might shut off the phone, but the damage remains. And the next morning, they feel the full weight of the insult, shared for all to see. This cycle can repeat and escalate, weaving psychological turmoil deeper and deeper into the child's daily life. You might be thinking, wait, how do we counter this wave of digital trouble if we cannot forcibly keep devices out of their hands forever? Part of the solution lies in more robust attempts to confirm ages during platform registration. Though current rules in many regions require that children be at least 13 years old to create their own accounts, the reality is that underage children regularly sidestep these requirements. If their parents actively try to enforce guidelines, children might sign up late at night. If the platform tries to cross-check details, we frequently see a child simply providing an alternate date of birth. The studies behind this data indicate that enforcement is frequently unable to hold up against tech-savvy kids. At this point, you might find yourself nodding along, thinking that these insights reflect what so many families already see in practice. So, take a moment to let me know if you find this enlightening so far. If you do, feel free to support this exploration of critical issues in child well-being. It takes just a second to share your appreciation, and stay connected for more such deep dives in the future. In the meantime, parental guidance is more important than ever. While it is painfully obvious that modern children are seldom parted from their smartphones, real strategies can help. For instance, maintaining clear boundaries around phone use during homework time not only reduces distractions, but also ensures kids experience normal, in-person responsibilities without constantly feeling the allure of a buzzing notification. In some households, parents collect all devices in a communal spot after dinner, guaranteeing that no child is lying awake for hours, waiting for a trending challenge or an instant message. Small measures like these can give children the mental space to decompress. Another overlooked but powerful force is the adult role model. As we explore the dynamic between parent and child, something stands out from the data. Children watch how their caretakers use digital devices. Indeed, the research suggests a link between parents who scroll through social feeds incessantly during dinner and the frequency with which their kids retreat into the virtual sphere. Imagine the unspoken cues. If a parent is glued to a smartphone, that might seem normal or even desirable to the impressionable eyes of a preteen. But let us remember, the digital world is not all doom and gloom. Many youths do find healthy communities or content that helps them expand their horizons, express creativity, or stay closely tied to physically distant relatives and friends. So, the question is not about demonizing an entire industry, but rather identifying how to ensure that a child's foray into social media remains beneficial, or at least neutral, rather than becoming a trap. We can appreciate that technology can bring people together, accelerate learning, and even provide emotional support. However, the real crisis starts when it morphs into an around-the-clock fixation, or when children are subjected to negative experiences. The notion of risk factor is central here. We cannot wave a magic wand to eliminate every threat from a child's environment, but we can reduce exposure and bolster resiliency. The key takeaway from the University of California at San Francisco study is that while genetics or family situations remain significant, the time spent on people's feeds, especially for vulnerable kids, is something we can control. Action might be as simple as designating dinner time as a technology-free zone, or establishing a consistent cutoff in the evening after which the phone is not accessible. We should also turn our attention to something equally delicate: substance use and suicidal thoughts. Think about it. A tween or young teenager, still refining their sense of self and belonging, faces an onslaught of negative comments or downright threats. They lack the healthy outlets or support they need to handle emotional pain, so they might start turning to substances for self-medication or, in darker scenarios, entertaining thoughts of self-harm. This is not idle speculation. It is based on documented findings that highlight real links between being bullied online and suicidal ideas. So, what is truly going on inside these digital playgrounds that makes them such a volatile environment? Some experts argue that platforms were never designed with tween or young teenage audiences in mind. They rely on algorithms that push attention-grabbing content to the surface, using data and metrics to keep users scrolling. The result? A precarious mixture of fun, drama, and tension. A preteen can be enthralled by dance challenges one minute and crushed by insulting comments the next. Think of it as a wave that surges forward, full of pep and shared illusions, then suddenly crashes, leaving an undertow of anxiety and self-doubt. We also cannot forget that major social media companies gather and analyze user data. When younger users flock to the site, those behind the technology might not always be aware of just how delicate these minds can be. Or, even if they do realize it, the constant chase for revenue and engagement sometimes takes precedence. This is why some health experts call for more responsibility from these corporations to protect underage users, especially by eliminating certain types of dangerous or harmful content. Meanwhile, critics highlight that genuine regulation remains scant, allowing the problem to multiply in scale. Let us reflect. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Many parents, educators, and mental health advocates say yes, but they urge immediate action. One step is ensuring that if a child is knocked offline by bullies, they have direct support. Schools can have procedures in place so that a child who appears withdrawn or who mentions harmful experiences online gets a safe space to talk. Parents can connect with local mental health resources sooner rather than later, aiming to handle mild depression or early signs of emotional distress before they escalate. We also see a growing embrace of social media literacy. Some educators integrate lessons on digital citizenship into their classrooms, guiding students on how to engage with content responsibly and defend themselves or their peers from bullying. By providing them with ways to maintain healthy relationships online, society can intercept potential harm before it grows. Naturally, this approach requires teachers who are trained, consistent school policies, and engaged parents who continue the conversation at home. Here is one other thought. A child who lacks other fulfilling outlets, like sports, clubs, or creative pastimes, may find that social media provides a shortcut to the validation and sense of purpose they crave. If that child's offline self-esteem is already fragile, the quest for likes and comments can become a stand-in for authentic connection. Tying self-worth to the number of hearts or thumbs up sets up a precarious pattern of seeking validation through virtual metrics. Experts remind us that offline hobbies, supportive communities, and strong real-world friendships can serve as protective corridors. They help children expand their sense of identity and belonging without relentlessly waiting for the next ping of approval from a device. And speaking of approval, if you appreciate in-depth explorations like this one, now might be the perfect time to give a friendly nod or join in for future episodes. We are only scratching the surface of the influences shaping our youth, so your engagement helps steer these discussions toward where they truly matter. So, can we push back against the creeping gloom that sometimes finds its way into teenage bedrooms via smartphones? Yes, by viewing social media not merely as an enemy, but as a sophisticated tool that demands sensible guidelines, especially for growing minds. In parallel, by acknowledging that bedtime screen use can disrupt healthy rest, we can reinforce the vital role that routine and discipline play in a child's day. By championing face-to-face interactions, we remind children that technology is a supplement, not a replacement, for real bonding. In the end, the study from the University of California at San Francisco is not just another data set to file away. Its significance is that it tracks the same group of children from 9 to 10 years of age and beyond, measuring exactly how pivotal these formative years are. When we hear that daily social media use skyrocketed roughly tenfold, and that reported symptoms of depression jumped significantly as well, it becomes difficult to shrug it off as a coincidence. Parents, teachers, mental health professionals, and policy shapers now have compelling evidence that digital exposure is not a neutral bystander. Of course, we must remember that even with this robust evidence, no single factor alone causes childhood depression or suicidal tendencies. Life circumstances, home environment, genetic predispositions, personal experiences can all combine to steer a child's emotional trajectory. But in a climate where children check their phones frequently and slip from one digital environment to another, it would be naive to think that screen time is harmless. The point is that social media usage stands out as one risk element that parents may have the power to influence. Some steps are clear. Platforms can strengthen their verification systems. Governments can examine fresh legislative measures. Communities can ramp up mental health support and education. Parents can integrate practices that attach real consequences to device misuse or underage signups. Meanwhile, older siblings, grandparents, coaches, or other adult figures can be part of a child's offline life, ensuring that the glow of a phone screen is not the only source of identity or entertainment. So, let us summarize in a stirring conclusion. The digital realm is neither paradise nor perdition. It is a space that can enlighten, connect, and motivate, but it can also distort a child's self-worth and open them to lurking dangers. If we, as a society, do not adapt responsibly, balancing openness with age-appropriate boundaries and ensuring that children have real support systems, then it is as though we are sending them out into a massive sea with no life jacket, expecting them to stay afloat amid complex currents. Keep that in mind next time you see a 9-year-old gazing at a screen late at night. Are they merely being entertained, or is there something deeper shaping their mind and sense of security? As the evidence builds, we must not wait until the statistics are too glaring to ignore. Instead, we can act now to champion a more thoughtful, supervised, and constructive use of technology. Let children harness the benefits of our fast-paced, connected age without losing the simple joys of restful sleep, active hobbies, and real human closeness. That balance may be the best hope we have to ensure these early years lead to happier, healthier adolescence, and by extension, a stronger foundation for adulthood,